gorgeous! Happy Frugal Friday to you! Before we get into the video, I want to let you know that I have a full face makeup tutorial coming up on Monday for you for the look that I'm wearing in today's video. But today we are talking about drugstore foundations, and this is going to be a two-in-one kind of video. I wanted to talk about the ones that match those of us who have pale skin, but I also wanted to share my favorites and some duds with you. Just as a disclaimer, this is an opinion-based video from the perspective of somebody who has an oily complexion with a dry T-zone. And I am practically a ghost. Boo! You can imagine how difficult it is for me to find a really great drugstore foundation. What do I look for in a foundation? I am looking for something that is great for oily and dry skin because I have both of those problems on my face. I'm also looking for something that is going to match me throughout the day and is not going to oxidize, because that is another big problem that I find with foundations, is that they go on and they match, but then later on in the day I look like an Oompa Loompa. First foundation I have to share with you comes from Rimmel, and this is from their Match Perfection line in the shade Classic Ivory. I love this stuff. It has a great application. It blends in very easily, matches me perfectly in color, does not oxidize one bit, and it wears really well throughout the day also. When you use this with the Rimmel translucent setting powder, you get about, I would say, 7 or 8 hours of straight wear. You may have to use a primer under that, but it's really long lasting. I was surprised by this one. Another really great foundation for you to try comes from Drew Barrymore's Flower line, and you can pick this up at Walmart. And I feel like this is a very underrated line of products, specifically their foundation. I love this stuff. It applies so nicely. It works well for oily and dry skin. It lasts a long time. I would compare this to my high-end foundations in terms of how long it lasts. The finish that this provides is beautiful. It leaves your skin very glowing. The color match is exact for those of us who are really pale, and this one is in the shade LF1. Great stuff. Another amazing foundation for you to try that I just discovered about 3 weeks ago, and I have been using it a lot lately. I've come to really love it. This one comes from L'Oreal. It is their True Match LUMI foundation in the shade W12 Porcelain Light Ivory. This is an exact color match. It is a little finicky when it comes to applying it onto dry skin, because I feel like it pulls out dry skin a little bit more than it should, but this is not one of those foundations where I feel like I have to really exfoliate before I use it in order for it to work. If I just exfoliate like usual and then apply this foundation afterwards, I don't have a problem with it. So if you do have dry skin, be mindful of that. If you have oily skin, this is a great one to try. So we've talked about some great ones so far. Let's spice it up a little bit and add some drama in, and I'll tell you about some really awful ones. First one being the e.l.f. foundation. This is their Tinted Moisturizer SPF 20 in the shade Porcelain. It is not porcelain. This one is not a color match whatsoever. It is very orange when you apply it. Talk about Oompa Loompa dippity doo. When I talked about this one in a past video, someone had mentioned that e.l.f. has another line of foundations that they were able to find a match in. So I haven't had the opportunity to test that theory out yet, but I would say don't give up on e.l.f. if you haven't tried all of their foundations, but this one specifically is a no-go. I have also tried foundations from Wet n Wild, and what I found with those is that they did not blend into the skin very well at all. They were really hard to apply, and the application was splotchy also. And what else did I say? Oh, it had a poor wearing time. It didn't wear long at all. I think I got the most out of it 2 or 3 hours before it literally looked like I had wrecked my face. I don't know. I've never seen a foundation do that before, but it was awful. Maybelline. Every single Maybelline foundation I have ever tried never matches me, even in the lightest shade. They are all still too dark. They name their foundations in the lightest shade like Porcelain or Ivory, I think. No, it's more like bisque. It is still too dark on me. I will take a minute to talk about Maybelline. Every single Maybelline foundation I have ever tried never matches me. There are foundations that are labeled as Porcelain, Ivory, are more like bisque and suntan on me. They are really, really dark. Another foundation that I want to mention comes from LUMI, and it was one of their smart shade matching kind of foundations, but it didn't do that on me. It was still way too dark, and it oxidized even further into the day as well. But what I will say about that LUMI foundation, if you can find your shade, is that it applied very nicely, and it did not fight my dry patches on my face, and it worked really well with my oily skin also. So if you can find a color match for the LUMI foundation, go for it. But I don't feel like it's for those of us who have fair skin. If you've been watching Frugal Fridays for a while, you'll know that I don't really feature CoverGirl products on this channel simply because I don't personally like them. I have not had good experiences with them in the past, so I tend to avoid them like the plague. All right, those are all the bad ones. We kind of got on a bad roll there. Okay, but let's get back to the positive side and some more foundations that you can try. Another one comes from NYX. It is their Stay Matte But Not Flat liquid foundation in the shade Ivory. This is a great color match for those of us who are really fair. It's a little strange in its application though, because when you go to apply it, it looks really, really white. And then for some reason, after you have applied it and it gets a chance to calm down and settle into your skin, then it looks like your own natural skin tone. But when you first apply it, it can be a little bit shocking. So if you experience that, just give it about 10-15 minutes to see how it will really look on your face. Other than that, I really love this foundation. It lasts a long time. I wouldn't say it has a 100% matte finish like the name claims that it does, but it does have a really beautiful finish. Although that's probably not what they meant by stay matte but not flat, is it? Another foundation for you to try comes from Neutrogena, and this is their illuminating tinted moisturizer with an SPF of 30 in the shade Ivory to Fair number 10. This is not a heavy coverage foundation. I would say it is rather light to medium. So if you have things that you really want to cover on your face, this would not be the right foundation for you. I like it as an everyday foundation just to wear when I'm running errands and things like that, because it feels like I have nothing on my face. The color match is really great also. Will not oxidize throughout the day either. Last foundation I have to share with you is not really one that you can find in the drugstore. Well, if you have a Rite Aid, you may be able to find this one because I think that they carry this brand. It comes from LA Girl Cosmetics, and it is their Perfecting Liquid Makeup, and this is in the shade Ivory. And I ordered this off of their website. I have been using it quite a lot over the past couple of weeks. Really love this foundation. It is the one that I have been wearing throughout this video also. It has a really beautiful finish. I would say it's between more of a glowing matte kind of finish, and it lasts a long time too. I would say I went up to at least 9 hours of wear with this foundation. And some of you have been asking me in past videos about cruelty-free products. So out of the 6 foundations that I recommended for you today, the cruelty-free ones come from LA Girl Cosmetics, NYX, and Flower. If you have a drugstore foundation that is a perfect match or just wears insanely well, please feel free to share it below. I know I would love to hear your comments, and many others would too. And if you find any products that you would like to see featured in Frugal Fridays in the future, you can always hashtag me at Frugal Fridays on any of my social media platforms. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you again next week.